The innocent can never last. Wake me up when September ends. Like my father's come to pass. 20 years has gone so fast. Wake me up when September ends. Wake me up when September ends. Wake me up when September ends.
Alright, how's it going, party people? Welcome to another edition of Useless Agent Presents STS. I am your host, and as always, Useless Agent. So today, we are at the 7th of September, so 4 days left. And yeah, sorry I'm late. I know the show is starting really late, but life happens, and that whole thing. I want to be able to start off by saying thank you guys so much for the what's it called? The support. Hang on a second. Thank you for your support and all the help you guys are giving us with the Troy Bell situation. The amount of bad publicity I thought it was going to happen, but didn't. It was a huge relief, but it's still it still garnered a few people that got a little pissed, and I really don't get why. It really wasn't a big deal. What occurred was the whole situation with the guy named Troy Bell in Arizona, who basically got caught trying to, snatch a thing of jewelry, not from like an old lady or anything, but from a jewelry store. And what bothered me was, the Scottsdale, Arizona crowd can be pretty divisive, and they can be pretty segregated. And also the footage that I had seen, I really didn't see any positive message here. I didn't know what people were cheering for exactly. I saw one relatively thin black guy who doesn't seem like he'd be much of a problem, and I see four guys holding him down because he tried to snatch some bracelets. And I mean, for one, you could always go into the, if he was white, y'all wouldn't have done that. Which, that's a fair point. You probably would have turned around. You're ruining it for the rest of us. Really, that's it. And that's probably what would happen. But you have to remember that these guys do it to you all the time. They steal from you all the time. I mean, the average person has to do what? Save up 3 months' salary to pay off one fucking ring. And the rings are found within, a portion of the actual carat it's supposed to be. Usually, they're lying about the amount of diamond actually in it. There's a diamond reserve, so that way it's like the fucking Disney vault. They put them out when they want to, and when they think, they need to sell more, and they pretend like it's so scarce and it's such a precious stone. And the entire continent of Africa has been just a giant target symbol for anybody willing to aim for the gold. It's fucking pathetic. So, thank you for reading into that and actually helping me out. I'm getting a lot of support, and not just from the Black community, but from a lot of my Hispanic community and even the Middle Eastern community, and I really appreciate that. Again, we don't discriminate here. We don't fucking care if you're Muslim. Muslims do not mean bad people. I don't care what 9/11 has done to the psychology of the average American, no matter what psyop you want to put us through. You will never force certain human beings to discriminate and hate. It's against our natural being, and we just don't tolerate it. This is where the, of course, series continues with all of our sorry, way wrong one, our 9/11 series over here. So we're doing Chandler versus SEIES Sundar. Of course, Sundar, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's a douchebag. I don't know if he likes Seagal or Siegel, whatever. Steven Seagal's name is Siegel. He actually just took the name from an artist who went by a name that was Manal or whatever. I forgot the guy's name, but whatever. So David Chandler, let's remember, we talked a little bit about him yesterday, and we got as far as to letting you know and showing you some of his work as he manages to basically map out a series of heights and acceleration speeds and momentum speeds. And, one of the biggest things that you can see right away from looking at any building you want to see fall down, whether it's WTC 1 or 2, when you see them coming down, and you remember that pancake theory that they originally had, Rebecca Roth points out a lot of interesting things, showing that when it came down to like the FEMA report, and it's also available on YouTube. I should be able to find it probably sometime within the episode. I'll look for it. But I did watch a recent special kind of a symposium about it. He was kind of doing a demonstration, and he really helps out because he reads the overalls paper, the overall investigation work of not only NIST but FEMA and the Silverstein report. And what really scares me as a Chicagoan is knowing that that son of a bitch, Larry Silverstein, actually did own the Sears Tower at the time of 9/11. So when he kept saying my three towers, man, maybe he was still under the impression for a little while, that they all went down, because we know that Illinois, here in Chicago, we know that we did evacuate the Sears Tower, which I did not believe, but a friend of mine told me in high school, and now that I'm doing all this research, I found it. So let's go ahead and start to look into. Let's go ahead and start off with. Let's see who. Let's go ahead and start off with Building 7, forcing NIST to go ahead and throw this in there. Now, this is what I was talking about. This is the full-blown situation where I told you guys I was going to show you this. But what we have here is a situation where a high school physics teacher has managed to not only not infiltrate, but get into the club and ask the club a question. Again, he answered the two doctors the two most, well-versed people and the very equivalent of their antithesis. And rather than fearing these questions as they should have, they try to take them head on. And notice the fumbling. I'll go all the way through so that way you can see Chandler's reaction himself, who's in like complete disbelief that Cheyenne could end up fumbling a question so simple and giving you a 100% Bart Simpson type of answer, showing you never read the book whatsoever. All right, let's go ahead and get this up. All right, I'll take it out and let's let Mr. Chandler work from here.
Government agency charged with investigating the World Trade Center collapses released the draft of their final report on the collapse of World Trade Center Building 7 for public comment. In that report, they claimed that the time for the building to fall the first 18 stories, that's the part of the collapse visible on many videos, was 40% longer than it would have taken had it been in free fall. I responded with a video posted on YouTube called WTC7 in free fall, in which I showed that for approximately 2.5 seconds, Building 7 fell at a rate indistinguishable from free fall. Furthermore, in that video I showed that NIST's methodology was not a valid way to analyze the true motion of the building. NIST's measurement was not just wrong, it was fraudulent. Then on August 26th, NIST staged a technical briefing in which engineers and others with technical credentials could pose questions. I'm a high school physics teacher, so I figured I would be excluded. However, I went ahead and registered, citing my membership in the American Association of Physics Teachers as my professional affiliation. By the way, I am not speaking for AAPT. That was just my passport into the briefing. To my surprise, my credentials were accepted and I was able to pose a question. Here's a little of how it went.
Our next question comes from David Chandler of the American Association of Physics Teachers. Any number of competent measurements using a variety of methods indicate the northwest corner of WTC7 fell with an acceleration within a few percent of the acceleration of gravity. Yet your report contradicts this, claiming 40% slower than free fall based on a single data point. How can such a publicly visible, easily measurable quantity be set aside?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Any number of measurements using a variety of methods indicate the northwest corner.
I'm sorry, I want to jump in just real quick here. It's pretty obvious what he's trying to do right now. When you have a question, especially when it's long, and you're either trying so hard to get ahead of the question so that way you can start working on an answer and then give your bullshit answer that looks like it's been thought out. But what happens a lot of times is either they don't hear the rest of the question, or they heard the question, know what's in it, but wants him to repeat himself so it gives her time to think about it gives him time to think about his answer. Now, the answer he is about to give is by far the most Bart Simpson answer I have ever heard in the first 15 seconds of the answer, okay? Or the response. Now, again, we have a high school teacher versus a high school teacher and a college professor, Stephen Jones, asking questions to the most powerful members of NIST. And the National Institute of Standards and Technology have been well known to be working with the government, but also you had the FEMA report, who had tried to really stick onto the pancake theory because that was the theory they thought they were going to go with. They didn't know they were going to change their mind later on when everyone kept debunking it. So you have a lot of conflicting evidence or conflicting responses and a lot of conflicting resolutions here. And so let's watch Shyam Sundar just completely melt under this pressure. He even gets the extra second to answer that question, and he is still going to fucking blow it.
Of WTC-7 fell with an acceleration within a few percent of the acceleration of gravity. Yet the report contradicts this, claiming 40% slower than the free fall based on a single data point.
Well, first of all, gravity is the loading function that applies to the structure, applies to every body, all bodies on this particular on this planet, not just in ground zero.
Whoa. I'm used to responses like that on a physics exam when a student hasn't even bothered to open the book. But this is NIST speaking, so let's continue.
As much as I want to let him continue, as much as I want to let Mr. Chandler continue, I need to take a second here because it's my show and I do what I want, okay? I keep forgetting to say that. It's my show. I do what I want. I'm sorry, did you not tune in for me? That's right, bitches. Do what I say. Alright. I love my soundboard. It's awesome. And you know damn well if you had a soundboard, you'd be using it all the time. Alright, so right there, let's take a timeout and say that's bullshit. I mean, wow. To not only, patronize us with whatever answer, whatever collegial, verbally impressive answer we were expecting is completely out the door. What we get instead is a ridiculous Bob Newhart style of stuttering and the most blatantly stupid premise to an answer I've ever heard. Other than, like whenever I used to hear, who was like Chief Patawi, I would just be like, he was the chief of the Patawi. Duh. Like that was my answer for everything. I had no idea what I was talking about. And so, pretty obvious. I'm not the only one here.
The analysis showed there's a difference in time between a free fall time. A free fall time would be an object that has no structural components below it. And if you look at the analysis of the video, it shows that the time it takes for the 17 for the roof line of the video to collapse down the 17 floors that you can actually see in the video, below which you can't see anything in the video, is about 3.9 seconds. What the analysis shows, and the structural analysis shows, or the collapse analysis shows, it's that same time that it took for the structural model to come down from the roof line all the way for those 17 floors to disappear is 5.4 seconds. It's about 1.5 seconds, or roughly 40% more time for that free fall to happen. And that is not at all unusual, because there was structural resistance that was provided in this particular case, and you had a sequence of structural failures that had to take place, and where everything was not instantaneous.
Buried in all that verbiage, what Dr. Sundar is saying is, free fall for the 18 stories under consideration would have taken 3.9 seconds. However, their computer model simulating collapse required 5.4 seconds. The slower collapse time was to be expected, since there was structure supporting the building as it fell, slowing the fall, that there was a progression of failures that had to take place, and that these were not instantaneous. All of this makes sense as long as you don't look at the evidence. The evidence shows that free fall actually occurred, but since their computer modeling could not come up with a scenario that would allow for free fall, they had to declare free fall out of bounds and try to cover up the evidence. The problem is, unlike the columns and girders buried deep inside the building, the motion of the building is right out in plain view. Since their model predicted 5.4 seconds for the 18-story collapse, they dutifully conjured up a 5.4 second measurement to match. They had to stretch themselves to do it, but they did it. They found the disappearance time, then they went out of their way to pick an artificially early start time, exactly.
Now, it could be misconstrued what he means by that, and what he's saying is that they gave themselves a convenient start point. And so basically what he does is he works backwards and shows you that it's not going to work, and that they really gave themselves a lot of extra time. And so in order to prove that, you work backwards and you show it from the other angle. You show it from its landing or its fall to its rise. And that way you get a much clearer statement of how much time they really wasted. And yeah, I'll show you that in just.
Exactly 5.4 seconds earlier. This they compared with free fall time.
This next question comes from Dr. Stephen Jones. NIST discusses the fall time for WTC7 on page 40 of the summary report, where it's stated, assuming that the descent speed was approximately constant. However, observations by others of the descent speed show that the building is accelerating rather than being at constant speed. So the question is, why did NIST assume that the descent speed was approximately constant?
Stephen Jones was calling attention to the obviously erroneous claim on page 40 of the draft report.
Force of gravity obviously is the acceleration of gravity is
should have been whoop, but no, here's how they handled constant speed. I'm sure constant speed was a simple misstatement. The correct response should have been whoops, we'll fix that. But no, here's how they handled that question.
force of gravity obviously is the acceleration of gravity is what's at the driving force, and our calculation was based on the amount of time from the top of the parapet to fall till it disappeared from view between the two buildings seen in the video. That time was established from the video by single frame search of the time, so that was down to 1/30th of a second, and then we did the same thing for when the top of the parapet disappeared. We found that time to be 5.4 seconds.
Alrighty then. Alright, I'm not I'm no expert in behavioral sciences, but I am pretty damn good at playing poker. And that is the worst poker face I have ever seen. I would love to play both of these guys in a very, very high stakes kind of situation. Now, we're obviously running out of time, so that'll be the last one I guess I'll show you today. I did want to show you one more video, but that was going to go out of context now because I can't get to that point. So what we have here is what I promised to show you before, that there was footage of them not only fumbling the answers, not only unable to give the answers, but the fact that they even insult your intelligence by lying to your face and not even good at it. Like, you know, the people that get away with lying in your face now it doesn't show how good of a liar they are. It shows how desperate we are to believe in anything. And I say we because we are all affected by the result. But the results vary depending on the person dealing with it. And the recipient with no goddamn common sense is always going to ruin it for the rest of us. So I don't really see the point in bothering to deal with any of it. So all we can really do is, I guess, just wait it out and hope to God this idiocy dies soon. All right, so which it won't, of course. And so tomorrow we'll be back with some more stuff. I want to give you some more Rebecca Roth stuff, and then I want to get into Barbara Honegger. I want to get into Barbara Honegger, and I really want to get into behind the smoke curtain. And I would really also like to get you guys into a few more things before we wrap up the week until False Flag Day. So till then, yep, let's go ahead and call ourselves a day. All right, I love you guys. Again, I want to thank you guys for the whole Troy Bell issue. Also, there was another one with the guy from Bloody Chicago that I got into. And I have been removed from the video itself has been removed and taken off, which is really, really sad that, my friends, all within the Black community, were not only happy with not only content with the video and not have a problem with it, but a lot of them enjoyed what I had to say about it, because he was literally throwing MAGA points. So I will re-record that video and try to get it back out there, because I feel like there's a big section of us that's getting marginalized into the wrong margin. And so yeah, I'm going to always talk for my city in Chicago. And again, I love my country. I just don't care for the people that write the rules and don't care for the rules in it. All right. Love you guys. Stay safe. Stay yourselves. Stay truthful. Try to stay sane. And I'll see you on the other side. Most of all, please stay cheesy, my friends.
Summer has come and passed. The innocent can't